Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting, excellent, awesome webinar from Resolve. My name is Derek Pascarella, for those of you who don't know me, and I head up our sales engineering team here at Resolve. And I'm really thrilled to be doing this live webinar today to show you a little bit some of the new things we've got going on here at Resolve, which are very exciting. So just a little bit about us in case the name Resolve is new to you. We've been working in the IT automation space, man, at this point it's over a decade. And really what that means is that, we know a thing or two. Kind of like those what was it, State Farm commercials, we know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two, just like that. And that also means that our platform and our approach to automation in general has really evolved and kept up with the market. And interestingly, and something I say quite proudly, we are the only vendor in Gartner's SOAP Magic Quadrant and market guides for both network automation and infrastructure automation. And as you can see up on the screen here, big names from around the globe are relying on Resolve Automation each and every day. Now, to get into the meat of our presentation today, some questions. What if we could deflect up to 80% of your tickets? How much would that reduce your ITSM spend? And how much complexity would that remove from your IT organization as a whole? The slide I have up on the screen here highlights how foundational automation with Resolve can do precisely that, deflecting up to 80% of IT issues before they ever even reach a technician. And on the left, we see how machine alerts are handled by AI ops and automated workflows, right? Reducing noise, resolving known problems, etc., etc. On the right, though, we can see how human requests are addressed through RITA. We're going to be taking a look at RITA today. It's Resolve's intelligent virtual agent, which enables natural language self-service, triggers automations for common requests, and even assists technicians when escalation is needed. And together, these solutions drive faster resolution times, they lower ticket volumes, and of course, improve employee satisfaction, all while reducing ITSM costs. It doesn't get any better than that, folks. So let's get into our live demo here. I'll just switch screens and we will get on with the show. All right. So first and foremost, let me go ahead and log in to the Resolve Actions platform. Oh God. Okay, folks. Um, I know this is a live webinar, but for some reason I cannot access. Wait a minute. I just had an idea. Okay, this is the craziest thing. Serendipity. Thy name is Resolve. Okay, it looks like my account to my demo system is actually locked, but I have a solution. I have a solution. What if I use RITA? Let me pull it up here on my screen. I could use our own product to actually unlock my account. This is actually awesome. I'm so glad this happened. All right, here we go. I'm talking to Rita, and it's connected to my Slack instance, as you can see here. And let me ask her something. I think my Resolve Actions account is locked. Can you help? Fingers crossed, everybody. Let me check your account. Come on, Rita. Don't let me down. She won't. I know she won't. It was locked. She unlocked it. I should be able to log in now. Okay. All right. For the sake of all of you who so kindly decided to attend this webinar, I really hope this worked. Oh my God, it did. Eureka. All right. So before even showing some of the things Rita can do, it's already saved me from, well, I don't know, ending the webinar and forcing my marketing team to reschedule, of which I'm sure they'd be none too thrilled. So let's get into what we want to look at today, which is the Resolve IT Assistant. In other words, RITA. And we can already see that I was able to do the first of such tasks that RITA's really good at for end user requests. Things like account unlocks, password resets, the common things that service desks and help desks are fielding every single day. And through plugging in RITA from Resolve into your Teams client or your Slack client, or even overlaying it on some sort of internal web portal, performing unlocks like we just saw there is, well, it's as simple as what we just saw there. But let's look at some other things. And behind me, I've got the Resolve Actions platform logged in, by the way, and I've got the live dashboard. And for those who aren't aware, this is where you can see certain high-level KPIs, metrics, things like that, as well as a live running snapshot, right? Everything the system's doing in real time. So I have that running workflows tab up. So as I engage in these requests with RITA, we'll see Resolve workflows actually running and executing and assisting in fulfilling those requests. So we're good with our account. How about something like I need to be added to a distribution list? How about I'll get a little more specific here and email distribution list. And even though she's powered by AI and she doesn't mind typos, I'm still paranoid and I always correct them. That's just me. Sure thing. Could you provide the email address for the DL? Yeah, absolutely. I want to join marketing updates. I'm always doing all of these fancy webinars for our marketing team, and I'd like to actually be, get some of the inside baseball and see what they're up to. So how about I subscribe and get added to marketing updates? Oh, we can see behind me here the distribution list update workflow is running, and it's actually adding me to that DL right here in real time. And if everything's successful, for example, if I supplied a existing DL, it'll work, and it looks like it did. So we've been added, and I should start receiving those email updates shortly. That is excellent. Now let's get into some other common kind of service desk requests that people come in with, especially these days in the world of mass work from home. Things like VPN issues often plague large or even smaller sized enterprises. So let's say, for example, I come in and I'm just going to say something like, I think I'm having trouble with my VPN connection. I'll say, some internal sites aren't loading correctly. Let's see what RITA comes back with. All right, so she sees, oh, we can see the workflows running behind me. Great. She sees that I have access. She's going to run a quick diagnostic for me. So we're using Cisco for our VPN here at Resolve. So she's checking on the status of the VPN, and the workflow that's running back here is really doing all of the things that a human being would normally be manually carrying out, right? Checking connection status, gateway connections. We're eliminating all the swivel chairing that a human being, a technician, an operator would have to do for these low level problems. Log into this system, issue that command, assess it against this output, check our playbook PDF or knowledge base article to make sure I'm doing it correctly. All the logic, everything translated into a resolved workflow, and all happening behind the scenes. So it looks like she actually detected that my Cisco client profile is not up to date. I don't know how the heck that happened, but it did. And of course, duh, it can cause connection issues. Can she proceed in updating it? Of course you can, Rita. That's why I'm here talking to you. And she's going ahead and performing that update for me. And things like this, we're integrated with your endpoint management solution. So let's say you have SCCM or similar. We can actually communicate with employee workstations to carry out changes and remediation steps like we see here. She's made the update for the purposes of demonstration. I'm not going to go ahead and go test a bunch of internal websites, but the process is completed, and let's call it a fix from Rita. I test it again. Works. And we'll be polite. It's always good to be polite to our AI assistants. Now, how about something like talking to a knowledge base article? And when I say talking to a knowledge base article, what I mean is, you know, most organizations have these KBs, whether they live in their ITSM, something like Confluence, or some internal portal. And we as employees aren't always the best at searching those portals to find documentation and tutorials for the things we need. Sometimes it's hard to find the things we need, let's be honest. But what if we could talk to those articles and kind of pull up steps by using Rita as the front door to get to that information? So what if I say to her something like, I need to set up email on my iPhone. So this has nothing to do with the Resolve workflow per se, carrying out automated actions. This is just a huge collection of, let's call it a knowledge database. And as we can see, Rita is totally aware of all of our internal knowledge and just came back and gave me the 10 steps I need to add email to my phone. And looking at them, doing a quick sanity check, they all look completely in line with what you'd actually do to carry this out. So that's great. Thank you, Rita. And we'll tell her as much. Thank you. Now, after all of this hard work, building Rita demos, watching Rita potentially just make my life so much easier, I think it's time I take a well-deserved holiday, vacation. But before I do that, when is the next company holiday? My favorite is to plan these vacations around a company holiday so I can eke out an extra day or two. It's classic scheme. And here's our 2025 US holidays here. Great, and that's going to come from our own internal HR portal. So let's say I pick one of these. What's the next one coming up here? Sometime in June. Yeah, we've got Juneteenth. Okay. What's my available PTO look like? I wonder how much time I can take. And here, Rita is actually going to be talking to our internal HR platforms or whatever might be keeping track of things like PTO balances and such. And she's doing that for me right now. Let's hope I've got enough time because I really think I need a break. 41 hours plus one company holiday. I could take that. That's a trip worth having. So let's say goodbye to Rita. Thank you and goodbye. She's been so immensely helpful today. Excellent. I hope everybody enjoyed that little technical demonstration. And I am so glad that Rita saved my behind from not being able to log into our demo system today. That was great. I'll pick back up the PowerPoint here in just a second, everybody. So we just saw a really, really cool demo on how Rita, the Resolve IT assistant, can act as the, let's call it the front door for end user employee service desk requests, password resets, issues with your actual workstation or device, queries that can be answered by looking at knowledge based articles, things like that. Really spanning the breadth of the typical, let's call it low hanging fruit of the service desk. But not just that, right? We can take it beyond. And one of the things that's important to mention at this point is that Resolve is, a very vast IT process automation solution, and Rita, for all of its service desk automation capabilities, is, I would call the tip of the iceberg. We do a whole heck of a lot. We're really transforming reactive manual workflows into, let's call them proactive self-healing systems with event triggers, scheduled triggers, and a platform that supports, let's say, complex orchestration of workflows across really any system in your IT environment. And our customers trust us, right? They trust us to deliver those key outcomes for them. Significant reduction in alert volume, incident volume, service request volume up to 90% with some of our customers. MTTR down to minutes, automation that doesn't sleep, doesn't take vacation, unlike me with my PTO balance request. Automation that's running 24/7, 365. And lastly, I'd say, these Resolve workflows are really ultimately enhancing service uptime, right? And that's what it all comes down to. They react before a person would even have a chance to start figuring out what the problem is and fix it. And all of that helps you scale, right? That's what it comes down to. It's built to grow and grow with you. And now I want to get to our question and answers section. So let's see. Let me check out here on Zoom if we got any questions from our lovely audience today. And it looks like we did. Okay, I've got at least 3 here so far. I'll start with the first one. Here's a good one. How quickly can we start seeing results after deploying Rita? Okay, so I'll give the best short answer I can because this is I don't want to say it's a complex answer, but there's nuance to it, which I'm sure all of you watching can understand. Most organizations that we've worked with usually see measurable reduction in ticket volume within the first 1 to 2 months, 30 to 60 days. And this is thanks in large part to the out of the box workflows that Rita features, right? Those service desk requests, account unlocks, password resets, device troubleshooting, things of that nature. And I would say after, some time along that journey, as we deploy more and more of these out of the box workflows and configure them for the customer's unique environment, we're looking at a 50% ticket deflection rate in just about 6 months. those are my figures based on how long we've been doing this. So I hope that's helpful to the person who asked that. I said we have three total. Let me get to the second one. How does RITA integrate with the tools we're already using? And I can only imagine the person asking this is hoping that they don't have to throw everything out just because they want the awesome AI assistant capabilities of RITA. And let me assure you, you definitely don't have to throw anything out. So RITA is really designed to plug into your existing environment, right? Whether that's integrating with Slack or Teams for the actual chat front end that your end users interact with, or even, like I said earlier, being overlaid on a web page, some internal portal of yours, whatever the case may be. It'll integrate with any ITSM if you need to talk to knowledge base articles or deal with tickets. It can integrate with any identity management software you can think of, Active Directory, Azure AD, which they're calling Entra these days, Okta, things like SCCM for actually carrying out changes on like employee workstations, for example, like that VPN connectivity troubleshooting workflow we looked at before. But really, ultimately, any application or service that Resolve needs to talk to, we can talk to it as long as there's a standard protocol. And what that means is if we can touch it via API, command line interface, anything at all in that realm for which, all of these applications have such a protocol, then absolutely Resolve can integrate with it. All right, our very last one here. What happens when RITA can't resolve an issue? Cheeky question, but I've got an answer. So there's a few things here. Firstly, RITA can escalate requests to SMEs, on-call technicians, whomever. That can happen either through a ticket. We can actually use the messaging app, right? Slack, Teams, whatever, to communicate with somebody in real time. Or really, if you have any other preferred method of communication, heck, if it's email or even text messages, right, we can facilitate that as well. So there's that escalation component. On top of that, important to note is that inside of RITA for administrators, you can actually see, first of all, you get a view of all of these solved requests coming from end users, but then you also see the unhandled or unsolved requests. And this actually serves in two cool ways. One of them, you get to see, hey, here's the actual problems that our employees are chatting into the service desk for every single day. Why don't we put some automation in place to solve them, right? So there's that. It's kind of like an organic backlog, if you will, of things that your team knows they need to automate. But secondly, it'll also serve to, well, it'll serve to be able to understand where shortcomings might exist, right? Just not just in the automation space, but just in general in your IT infrastructure, the services you have deployed, all of that. So I hope that was a good, helpful response. What RITA can't solve for you today due to its heavily customizable, configurable design could certainly solve for your end users tomorrow, right? It's basically limitless. Let me just make sure that that is the last of the questions. I'm pretty sure it is. Yes, sir, it is. And with that, I want to say goodbye to everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here today. Again, my name is Derek Pascarella, and tune in next time for another awesome Resolve webinar where hopefully I won't be locked out of my account. But even if I am, what do I care? I've got RITA now. She can solve all my problems for me. Take care, everybody.